Nini everyone, Mary here. I just wanted to let y'all know, you might notice, that I have a web camera. So yeah, it was an early present for myself. Um, well, not for me, I didn't buy it unfortunately, but yeah, it was an early present. Um, I've been doing pretty well, it's been pretty cold, so I'm pretty happy about, the solstice coming up, because, that means that it's gonna get warmer. The days are gonna get longer. It's like, please, please, please. But in any case, I was gonna do some, more videos, especially with my brand new camera, which is probably gonna make things a lot more convenient. So you might be seeing more. Anyway, I wanted to talk about something that happened to me a few days ago. Um, I have a friend who's on Facebook, and I also know him in real life, but sometimes I guess he and I can butt heads a little bit about paganism and, the gods and stuff. As far as I know, he's more along the lines of an eclectic pagan, maybe more Wicca, Druid based. But one thing that he often claims that really gets my goat is that, like, the gods are aliens, which, you know, uh, for the most part, I don't really know what to think about that because, there are some people who believed in like ancient alien theory and stuff like that, saying like, aliens are the basis for a lot of pagan gods from the past, and also too that, they made the pyramids or Stonehenge or, insert ancient monument here that, we don't know exactly how it was made or was used, or it was made with stones that are just freaking huge, and you need a lot of modern equipment, or a lot of people think that. But oh, so he and I butt heads about that a little bit. But another thing that precipitated this video was a video he sent me through Facebook. I had posted something, I don't know if you know the page, but it's called I Fucking Love Science. And, they have a lot of, like, quirky and funny science-related posts. So sometimes I'll share them with my friends and, make jokes and stuff about that. And there was this one with a baby gorilla and a baby chimp playing together. And I had reposted it because I thought it was cute. And my comment was, put a human baby in there and it'd be a family reunion. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. And he posts this one video as a comment to my video. And it was about, what was it about? Most of the stuff that was in that video I didn't have too much of an objection towards because it was, just mostly about like human evolution and all the things that, all the conditions that were involved in human evolution. But one of the major claims of that video was that civilizations are a lot older than, what we think. Like, their claim was that there were like great civilizations before the Ice Age, and the Ice Age ended about 10,000 years ago. And they were also making the claim that humans, way before the Ice Age or something like that, were inhabiting every continent, which, archaeology has, conventional archaeology, you might have a few crackpots, but conventional archaeology says that, you know, um, that humans were, didn't, finally colonize every continent, say for Antarctica until probably around 12,000 BC, when, the Native Americans crossed over that land bridge into the United States, or the Americas. Um, so, it's like some of that stuff that it was talking about, was blatantly false, and they were claiming that, this is widely accepted by the scientific community, which it's not, which really angered me. Um, and then, what else? Oh gosh, the comment section was worse in my opinion because, um, a lot of people were rejecting evolution, which is like, one of my biggest pet peeves. And they were saying, oh yeah, humans were created by aliens, that's why evolution is false, because I guess it took a, I don't know, like a, ancestor or something like that, and then genetically manipulated it to look like humans or something. I have no idea. I don't know what their rationale for that is, obviously, because I studied biology in college, so this is a subject that's really near and dear to my heart. And also too, because these are the same sorts of people who claim that aliens made the pyramids and stuff like that, and like they gave the Egyptians ancient knowledge, or even my friend who's like, yeah, Jehuti and Ra, and all the other Nitu that sometimes I mention when I'm at functions that one pagan group I belong to, when I'm there and I talk about deities, and he's like, oh yeah, your gods are aliens. I'm like, no. But I guess I should go into why I believe all this stuff, and why I think it's complete bull, to put it mildly and politely, because I could say, if I really said what I wanted to say about it, it would probably be expletive laced, and I will not do that because I think I want to make this channel like a nice, clean, polite channel. But in my mind, complex life, when you think about in terms of the universe and um, life in general, as a biological phenomenon, complex life is extremely rare. And there's this great book, this book that changed my life. I gotta get used to this video, or the camera. The Life and Death of Planet Earth, and it's by Peter Ward and Donald Brownlee, and they're both professors at the University of Washington, and I got to take a class by Peter Ward. So it was like, when I got into that class, I was like, screaming fangirl. But I just think he's brilliant. But anyway, this is a good book. They also wrote another book called Rare Earth. And then the claim in these books is that, complex life, life like you and me, mammals, higher living organisms, are probably very, very rare in the universe. And it kind of goes on to along the lines of, there's a very, very many intricate components into making a planet that can support life. You have the right levels of oxygen, distance to the sun, size of the planet, its composition, what kind of elements are there, all sorts of things like that. And I think there's a Wikipedia entry on it. Yeah, so, if you want a basic overview of what the rare earth theory is, then you can look it up there. But, it's one that I do subscribe to, and I think, more or less, when we look at, if we were able to look at the universe, we would see a lot more lower forms of organisms like, bacteria or viruses or something of the sort, rather than, it's like Star Trek or something, where, you go from planet to planet and meet, advanced cultures and different people like that. You know, as far as we know, we're the only ones around. And if there is anything else out there, that's a little like us, higher organisms that have the ability to create civilization, they're probably so far away, and that we wouldn't never be able to reach them, not with radio waves or anything else that we currently have at hand. And I know that there are a lot of people who are alien proponents who say, oh well, there's got to be a civilization out there that has the technology to reach other planets, that may be very, very, very far apart. Ones that that they could reach in between galaxies or across galaxies or something like that. And it's like, for me, the stubborn side of me is like, well, prove it. But you also have to think about how long exactly it takes for something to evolve to that level, and also too, the conditions that allow something for that. I mean, you kind of look at Earth. We've had, what is it, at least 5 major extinctions over our history. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old, and life is 3.5 billion years old. And during that whole entire time, you had instances in which things were wiped out, and civilization is a very tenuous thing, and you have certain extinctions, especially like the Cretaceous one. Everybody knows about the Cretaceous extinction, where there was that meteor that struck around in the Yucatan Peninsula and wiped out the dinosaurs and all that. You have those kinds of extinction level events that kind of bring everything down to a very much more less complex level, and then animals have to evolve from there to get to anything that looks like us. You had the little mouse-like looking creatures that we have posited that eventually became, that was the ancestor of all mammals, and so it was our ancestor. So I don't think that a lot of people kind of take that into account when, they're thinking about aliens. It's like, even if there is complex beings out there that, have civilization, what's to say that they're not like us and they're just trying to scrape a living, and they're not even at that point for space exploration, much less exploring vast distances. So that there is that whole idea, and I don't think a lot of those alien believers take that into account. Um, And also, too, I think this is one of the most important ones. There's no evidence that aliens have visited. And I know that there's a lot of people who claim to have seen aliens. My dad has even claimed to have seen a UFO, but my personal opinion about that is, in his story, from what he told me, is that he probably had seen an experimental aircraft or something like that. He was 5 at the time, and he was born in 1947. Or no, 1946, I'm sorry. But, evolution is more than satisfactory to explain human origin. And humans are capable of building their own monuments. There's no evidence that, aliens or some kind of weird technology made the pyramids or any other one. I mean, we haven't found any, like, metals or anything that they used, like in terms of machinery or cogs or nuts, bolts, that sort of thing, because, if they had something that advanced, you'd think that, maybe some of it got left behind or something like that. We would find that in the archaeological record, in which, we haven't found anything like that. And also, too, it's like, and especially in the present day, people are like, oh, there's a vast conspiracy to cover up the existence of aliens, and it's like, well, if they're that, advanced in their technology, you think that they would be able to run circles around our governments. I remember there was this, oh gosh, when I went to the emergency room back in October, my parents who were scared to death, what was going on with me, they were there, but we had a pretty good time because we were watching the Science Channel. And oh my god, it was so good because it was like this When Aliens Attack show. And they were positing the idea, it's like, well, what if the aliens really did come to Earth? What would they be after? And what would they do? And so, they were talking to a lot of these experts, and they posited the idea that, they would want to come because they were looking for a new planet to live on, and they were going to wipe us off. And so, these aliens were doing all sorts of crazy things like EMP and biological warfare and, all sorts of different things like that. And it was a pretty amazing show, but, it kind of goes to show that, if aliens were to come here, um, I don't think that they would, be spiritually advanced or want to help mankind or something like that, but they would be hiding. I mean, they'd just come down and say, hey, we're here, and do whatever they wanted to do. So I don't see why, people are saying, there's a vast conspiracy or something, because for one, I don't think our governments, any government, especially the US's government, is that competent to withstand an alien attack or invasion or visitation or anything like that. And I also don't think that aliens traveling, vast distances across, the universe would just, kind of hold back and not reveal themselves. So anyway, I do also have a good video that you can watch about the building of the pyramids, and I'll put that down in the description. But you know, it always gets to me when people talk about, oh well, you know, the pyramids are made by aliens or something like that, because that's pretty much a slap in the face to the people who really did build it. I mean, you know, I've watched a few things like, you know, Sahih Hawass, and I'm reading like Red Land, Black Land, and different things like that, and about how the Egyptians made the pyramids in the first place. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of people who were conscripted into that, and it was like, you know, during their winter, so to speak, if I recall correctly, that when the farmers weren't growing anything, that they were, you know, working on the pyramids. They were, you know, hired, giving them something to do during the off season when they weren't growing anything. So, you know, yeah, humans built it. It wasn't slaves, it wasn't aliens, it was Egyptians building a monument for their king. And that's about it, you know. That's all the pyramids are. They're a monument to, you know, their rulers who passed away and wanted to show their greatness through a giant monument. And, you know, it speaks to, you know, the power of the pharaoh way back when, and it also speaks to Egyptians too, because, you know, to me it's not only the pharaoh's monument, but it's theirs too, because they built it. And so I guess, you know, I'll go back to what my friend was saying, you know, how he thinks that gods are aliens. And I imagine, you know, maybe it's not just Netru, but other deities, like the Greek deities and the Norse deities. I don't know exactly what his beliefs are, but he always mentions to me, it's like, oh yeah, the gods are deities, or the gods are alien. But, you know, to me, the Netru are not aliens at all. There's not one shred of evidence saying otherwise. You know, some people like to think, or some people like to think, you know, the ancient alien theory, that the ancient gods of, you know, any civilization you care to name may be aliens and they made their mark and then left. But I just think it's so stupid. There's this one particular person, she made pretty good points about it. It's Blag Hag, I guess, and she's an atheist, but she's talking about, you know, ancient aliens and the ancient alien god theory and everything like that. And she wrote down a lot of these assumptions that people arguing this theory make. People worship gods, and I think that's something that everybody can agree on. But people, and then the next one is, but people only believe in things they have evidence for. And, you know, I wanted to interject into this. Yeah, that's not true. There's lots of people who believe in creationism and the Bible, and, you know, I don't want to pick on Christians, but probably the most apparent and biggest one, especially in our country. Yeah, but people will believe in things that they have no evidence for. It's like, or like with Mormonism. I've studied Mormonism a lot, and, you know, one of their bases for their religion is that Joseph Smith found these golden plates in which the Book of Mormon was inscribed. Well, nobody's ever seen the golden plates. He never showed them to anybody, and so nobody could ever corroborate his story. And some people just believe Joseph Smith because, you know, there's no actual proof, physical evidence of his claims and how he wrote the Book of Mormon, but people will believe it anyway. And then the next one she has down, they had written and drawn evidence for these gods, but I don't really understand that one too much. Sure, we have pictures and writings about the gods, you know, hymns and you know, tomb reliefs and temples and inscriptions there, but you know, there's no story or anything saying that the Netru came down in a spaceship, or, you know, some of them are sky deities, but some of them aren't. So, you know, there's nothing, especially in the Egyptian pantheon, indicating that they came from the stars or something like that. And And it says like, but gods don't actually exist. That's our next one. That's the next assumption. And obviously, as comedics, we beg to differ. Gods do exist to us. And then, they make the conclusion that they were actually aliens. So it goes like, people worship gods, but people only believe in the things that they have evidence for. We have drawn and written evidence for these gods. Oh, and here's another one. Written and drawn evidence is always realistic, never abstract, imaginative, or metaphorical. I just had to stop there. It's like, haven't you ever heard of art? Like, a lot of it's abstract, imaginative, and metaphorical. We don't, just draw things that are, what we see every day. We also have minds in which we use our imaginations to make things. And put them down on a paper or a stone or what have you. And they might not always be real. I mean, like, we kind of look at different myths like unicorns and dragons and stuff, and not saying that they're not real, for a lot of people, but they've never existed on the physical plane. So, going back, people worship gods, but people only believe in things that they have evidence for. They have written and drawn evidence for these gods. And written and drawn evidence is always realistic and never abstract, imaginative, or metaphorical, but we know that gods don't exist, therefore they were actually aliens. And obviously I've shown to you that I don't accept very many of these premises at all, except, say maybe for people worship gods. That's the only one I agree with. So, it's like, when if you don't accept the premises here, you certainly can't accept the conclusion either, that the gods are aliens, so I don't. And I doubt that very many other people do. And, another thing that, really offends me about the idea that gods are aliens is like, it's kind of saying that they're corporeal and they're limited and they're not divine. If the gods are aliens, then they're probably just like us, complex beings that live within the universe and, don't have as much influence or anything of the sort, much like we are, so, that makes us, it's like, why would you want to worship another species? It's like kind of worshiping dolphins or, another intelligent species like elephants. If that's actually the case, then, should we be worshiping them in any case? And to me, I would not, because, if they're just another species in this universe, then, they don't really have all the answers or anything like that. That is pretty much one of the reasons why I became religious, because I wanted a relationship with something bigger than myself. And if they're not bigger than myself, then it's like, well, what's the point? So, like, in conclusion, I guess, there's no reason to believe that aliens have visited, and there's no need. I'm not saying that we're the only ones out there or that Earth has the only life within the universe, but I'm just saying that, I'm just saying that, for the most part, we are it right now, at this moment. There might be life on other planets, but we can't reach it. And they probably can't reach us either. And also humans, and even in ancient times, had the intelligence to build their monuments. They weren't stupid. They did have a smaller body of knowledge to work off of, but there were some very brilliant people, and, we can see that through, like, personages like Imhotep from Egypt. He was such a great physician and architect and everything like that, that he was deified. So, he has to have been, very well loved by his people in order to be remembered and even later on worshipped. And last but not least, my gods aren't aliens, so I won't continue because I'll probably get in trouble. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to this. And I hope you have a good night or morning or whenever you're watching this. So it's an empty. I'll see ya.